Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's talk organized by 365 Cancer Prevention Society. I'm Daphne, your host for tonight. So to start off, I will just briefly run through the schedule for tonight. For tonight's session, we have a testimony from our cancer fighter, Liana Ong, and she will share with us her cancer fighting journey. After her testimony, we will have our main speaker for tonight, Ms. Stephanie Chua, our dietitian at 365 Cancer Prevention Society. She will be sharing with us healthy substitutions in cooking and baking. We will also be having a Q&A session at the end of the talk, so do put down any questions that you might have in the comment section, and we'll address them at the end of the talk. So before we begin, do remember to like and share this Facebook Live, and invite your friends and family to tune in to our talk as well. Okay, so first, let us invite Liana Ong to share with us her cancer fighting journey. Liana Ong, please. Hi, Liana. Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Hi, I'm Liana Ong. I'm 56 years old this year. Sometimes in late May 2019, a lump was detected on my left breast, and I went for a checkup. And to my surprise, this is a cancer cell inside my breast. And I'm diagnosed with second stage breast cancer. Being a very active person and a healthy person, I hardly fall sick during my working life. It's a shock to me, that I have cancer. And at that point, there are many, many thoughts in my mind running. I have so many things I have not done. There are countries I have not been. My son is still in a school. So there are many questions in my mind. I really, really have a long, long list to do. After the diagnosis, I went for the surgery in end of July, and I have another one in September just to remove the lump. 2 of my lymph nodes are affected, and then I have to do a chemo, and I started the chemo sometime in October. And then I went to 365 CPS. It's actually through a friend who introduced me to this center. And I just dropped by and, to see what they have. And I found out that there are many, many daily activities for cancer patients conducted. And then those activities happen to be my favorite. Line dancing, Zumba, lots of things that I love. And they have all these daily activities in the center. And not only that, after exercising, they also have a healthy lunch provided for us free. So what the more? So I joined them. And I found I was very happy to have all these counselor, care leaders, to counsel me and help me along my way in my cancer fighting journey. So sometimes in April, I think there's a lockdown. So the center was closed. I was quite moody and gloomy, Really, I miss the fun of the people there. I miss the activities, So, but due to this high technology, we have these Zoom classes. conducted for us, and I join. I join every day. Detox, line dance, dance fit, Zumba go, Restora, exercise. Really, all these activities really help me. And I really feel lively once again. Not only that, they have health talks, they have relaxation exercises, and then that really broadened my knowledge. Yeah. And they even have the art class, Zentangle class, Nagomi art. So, I really enjoy all these classes conducted. Yeah. And my right fingers was having pain because of the chemo, but I enjoy the class. When I draw, I really cannot think of other things. I just focus on my drawing, and really the pain is gone from my fingers. So I find that this is a very good therapy for me. Yeah. And I just want to thank you, 365, who has been helping me, um, and your love and concern, for me, and your advice and your health talks. That really helped me. Yeah. I would encourage those cancer, patients out there. Although this is a difficult period time, but there are many people out there. They can help you. Yeah. So remember, we are not alone. 365 CPS staff, they can help us. Yeah. That's end of my sharing. I will put the time back to the host. Thank you.
Thank you, Liana. Thank you for your
Yeah,
sharing. I think it's very
thank you.
encouraging, and it's very encouraging to see cancer fighters like Liana to living life to the fullest and battling cancer with an optimistic mindset. So at this point, I also would like to take this opportunity to shout out to all those who are tuning in right now. If you know of any friends and families battling with cancer, do refer them to us. And like Liana said, we do have activities and different counseling and help and support for them. So do refer them to us, and we will try to help them in ways that we can. Okay, so next we have our main speaker for tonight, Ms. Stephanie Chua. So Stephanie is an accredited dietitian of Singapore under the Singapore Nutrition and Dietetics Association. She is currently serving as a dietitian at 365 CPS, and she advises cancer patients and the public on how to eat healthy. So tonight she'll be sharing with us what kind of healthy ingredients we can use in our everyday cooking and baking. So let us invite Stephanie up for the sharing. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello. Hi,
Good
thank you,
evening.
Daphne.
Okay, great. I'll pass the time now to you for the sharing.
Okay, I'll just give me a moment to share screen. Mm, all right. Mm, okay, can y'all see my slides? Okay, good evening, everyone. So tonight we will be discussing about the healthy substitutions in cooking and baking. And we will be covering the following, including salt and sodium, sugars and sweeteners, fats and oils, adding some of the substitutions to add fiber in our recipes. And lastly, we're going to go through some sample recipes where we showcase how we substitute these ingredients. Okay, first of all, in cooking, when it comes to salt and sodium, excessive intake of salt can increase the risk of high blood pressure, stroke, heart disease, chronic kidney disease, and stomach cancer. For stomach cancer, the evidence is true that if you frequently consume salt preserved food in your daily life, you may have an increased risk for stomach cancer. As for nasopharyngeal cancer, the evidence is true for if you frequently consume salted fish excessively, your risk for nasopharyngeal cancer may be higher. And lastly, osteoporosis. Now, the World Health Organizations recommends that we consume less than 5 grams of salt per day. And according to statistics, on average, the local Singaporeans consume about 9 grams of salt per day. And according to Health Promotion Board, it is recommended that we limit our sodium intake to less than 2,000 milligrams per day. This is equivalent to 1 teaspoon of 5 grams of salt, or 2 tablespoons, about 30 ml of soy sauce. Now, why we are showing you this limit is that we are not asking you to totally cut out salt from your diet. Your food might become very tasteless, but it is recommended to keep your salt or sodium intake in the recommended range. So salt is 40% sodium and 60% chloride. There are so many types of salt in the market, and you may be wondering, is it healthy if I substitute table salt with bamboo salt? Is it a better choice if I substitute sea salt with Himalayan pink salt? But if you were to look at if you were to look at the nutrition label and read the amount of sodium, you find that actually all of these salt have almost the similar amount of sodium, which is close to 39 to 40%. So their percentage of sodium is 40%, which is very close to normal salt. Hence, actually, the fact is that these are all not helpful substitutions of salt. So in terms of the substitution of salt, it is recommended that you limit or reduce your amount of salt, but we do encourage you to flavor your salt with a variety of herbs and spices, including ginger, garlic, onions, chili, pepper, curry powder, or 5-spice powder, etc. You can also substitute table salt with low sodium salt. As for soy sauce, there are many reduced sodium soy sauce available in the market. And when you replace processed or canned meat with fresh or unprocessed meat, you are actually significantly cutting down the amount of sodium in your food. When it comes to bottled or packaged sauces, there are always low sodium versions. Otherwise, you can opt for the other condiments like vinegar, balsamic vinegar, Tabasco, wasabi, herbs and spices, and mustard. And when you replace canned vegetables with fresh vegetables, you are also significantly reduce the amount of sodium in your food. But if you really need to opt for canned vegetables, then you can rinse and drain the canned vegetables. In that way, you can wash off the sodium in the canned vegetables. Now we're going to touch a bit about the low sodium mineral salt. Just now we have seen that all the different types of salts in the market, they are actually 40% sodium. But there are certain salts in the market that is considered as low sodium mineral salt. If you look at the sodium composition, the sodium is about 20%. Meaning to say that if you were to substitute 1 teaspoon of normal salt with 1 teaspoon of low sodium salt, you are actually cutting down your sodium intake by half. But bear in mind that this is a useful substitution when you substitute 1 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon. If, let's say, you are taking a low sodium salt and you think that, oh, this is a low sodium salt, and you end up using many teaspoons, this may cause you to consume excessive amount of sodium as well. So this is not a useful substitution. So it is still important to control the amount. Also, a word of caution. If you are, for some of us who may be battling with kidney disease or heart disease, this low sodium mineral salt may not be suitable for you, because when they reduce the amount of sodium in the salt, they actually increase the potassium minerals. So if you have a cardiac arrhythmia or renal impairment, this is not suitable because of the high amount of potassium in this low sodium salt. Otherwise, for the general public, you can consider to substitute your salt with a low sodium salt. It cuts down your sodium intake by 50%. So besides that, we do encourage you to substitute your salt with a variety of natural flavorings. This include the variety of spices, herbs, root vegetables or alien vegetables like garlic, onion, chives, and spring onion, glutamate, fruits like a citrus zest. You can make your own chicken broth by boiling chicken and bones and vegetable. This to substitute the high sodium stock cube. Okay, so this is also another idea of how you can flavor your food. Lemon zest, parsley, and minced garlic. We can also use 5-spice powder and other condiments such as balsamic vinegar, tomato salsa, which can flavor your food. You can find a lot of these healthy information infographics also on our 365 Cancer Prevention Society official Facebook page. Okay, so I'm going to touch a little bit about glutamate and umami. So what is glutamate? Maybe some of you have been using MSG in your cooking, or let's say when you eat out in a restaurant, you find that, wow, they have been using MSG, so it makes the food taste better. So actually glutamate is the amino acid component of the MSG. MSG is actually sodium plus glutamate. So this glutamate is actually the component responsible for giving food a very unique, delicious, and savory, meaty taste known as the umami taste. So if you want to flavor your food but you don't want to use so much sodium or MSG, you can actually obtain glutamate from natural food sources. And the natural food sources for umami includes shiitake mushrooms, tomatoes or dried tomatoes, tomato puree, cheese, walnuts, mackerel fish, anchovies, soy products, and etc. So we've covered the first part of our talk. We move on to the second part of the talk in terms of sugars and sweeteners. Excessive intake of sugar can increase the risk of diabetes, obesity, heart disease, tooth decay, and fatty liver disease. How much sugar should I take? The recommendation is not more than 10% of your total energy intake. Take for example, if you in one day you need about 1,600 calories, 10% would be 160 calories. Because 1 gram of sugar gives you 4 calories, you divide that by 4, you get 40 grams. Meaning to say, the daily limit of sugar for you will be 40 grams a day. And because 1 teaspoon is 5 grams, so that would round up to about 8 teaspoons of sugar per day. That would be your limit, daily sugar limit. But the World Health Organization further recommends that we further reduce this sugar intake to 5% of your total calorie intake. That would say roughly about 20 grams or 4 teaspoons. So there are so many different types of sugar with different fancy names on the ingredient label, but actually when you digest it and when you absorb it, it will actually all be broken down into the same glucose. So for some of us who may be wondering, is it healthier if I substitute white sugar with brown sugar? Is it better if I substitute sugar with honey? If you look at the calories and the amount of sugar, they are almost very close. It's very similar. Okay, so these are not helpful substitutions of sugar if you are intending to control your blood sugar or to control your calorie intake. If you want to substitute table sugar, you can look into natural sweeteners. These are 0-calorie sweeteners like stevia or lakanto, monk fruit sweetener. Or you can opt for artificial sweeteners, or you can opt for polyols. So the natural sweeteners and artificial sweeteners, they are both 0-calorie and 0 sugar. As for polyols, they contain half the calories of sugar. So these natural non-nutritive sweeteners, they are like from stevia, it's from the stevia plant, and the lakanto or monk fruit sweetener, or locally known as the luohanguo. So From this stevia and lohanguo, we can extract the stevia and lakanto sweetener, and they are approved by FDA to be generally regarded as safe. If you look into the the nutrition label, they are literally zero sugar and 0 calories. And the sweetness level is also 200 to 300 times more sweeter than normal sugar. So if you want to control your weight or to control your blood glucose, this is something that you can consider, and it is very recommended for those who are fighting diabetes. You want to sweeten your food, but you don't want the sugar, you don't want the calories. This is something that you can consider. Artificial sweetener is also the same, 0 calorie and 0 sugar, whereas polyols, they contain roughly half the calories of sugar. And when it comes to canned fruits in syrup, it is better to be replaced by fresh fruits or frozen fruits. And if you're using any sugar syrups, actually we can eliminate the use of sugar syrup, and we can substitute it with fruit zest or juices, stevia, or monk fruit sweetener. When it comes to cooking soup, you don't really need to be using any sugar, but there are plenty of natural ingredients that we can use to flavor your soup, such as water chestnut, jicama, or more locally known as the sengguang or bangguang, carrots, sweet corn and potatoes, prawns, chicken, goji berry, red dates, shiitake mushrooms, kombu, and kelp. So these are some of the natural ingredients that you can flavor your soup. We then move on to the third part of our talk. When it comes to healthy substitutions of fats and oil, the recommended intake of fat would be around 25 to 30% of our total energy intake. For a typical diet, this translates to about 55 to 65 grams of fat per day. But this is a very general gauge, but it will differ according to individual. Excessive intake of fats can increase the risk of obesity, heart disease, and high blood pressure. And obesity indirectly increases the risk for 13 types of cancer. So besides controlling the amount of your fat intake, it is also very important that we choose the right fats. We want to be choosing the healthy, unsaturated fats that doesn't clog up our arteries, but improve our cholesterol levels and minimize our risk for heart disease. So when it comes to healthy substitutions of fat and oil, the most important thing would be to cut down or minimize your intake of saturated fats and trans fats. On the other hand, we want to maximize most of our fat intake to be from the healthy unsaturated fats like MUFA and PUFA. And this MUFA comes from olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, avocado, nuts, and olive. PUFA comes mainly from fatty fishes like salmon, herring, mackerel, tuna, walnuts, flax seeds, and oils such as soybean, sunflower, and corn oil. When it comes to sauces and dressings, you find that sometimes some of the sauces like mayonnaise or ranch or Thousand Island, they can be quite high in fat. So you can switch it to a lighter condiment or low-fat condiment like salsa sauce, vinegar, olive oil, lemon vinaigrettes, pesto, or yogurt. And we are using some of the healthy oils such as avocado and olive. Coconut milk and coconut cream is actually 80 to 90% saturated fat. So what you can do is you can substitute it with low-fat yogurt, low-fat milk, or Greek yogurt, or blended cashew nuts to give the creaminess. Okay, so on the left, you can see some of the higher fat dressings. And on the right, you can opt for lemon vinaigrette salsa, pesto, yogurt, and the healthy fat profile comes from olive oil and avocado. Okay, now let's take a look in the cooking oil. Coconut oil is actually 90% saturated fat, And for vegetable oil and palm oil, they are about 40 to 50% saturated fat. So it is best that if we can replace this cooking oil with healthier oils that are trans fat free and lower in saturated fats, such as soybean oil, extra light olive oil, sunflower oil, and etc. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into how to choose a healthy cooking oil. We want something that is low in saturated fat. First, we look at the fatty acid profile. The red color signifies the saturated fat, so we want the red color to be as low as possible. The yellow color signifies the monounsaturated fat, which is healthy, and the green color signifies polyunsaturated fatty acids, which is also healthy. We want the red to be as little as possible. Yellow and green, the more the better. Besides looking at the fatty acid profile, we also need to look at the smoking point. No doubt olive oil is a very healthy oil, but extra virgin olive oil cannot withstand high heat, so it can only be used for low heat cooking, such as drizzling on the salad or pasta. These are some of the oils that are suitable for medium cooking heat. And if you want to go for higher heat pan frying or frying, you need to opt for an oil which can withstand a high smoking point. So we not only we want a low in saturated fat oil, we want a high smoking point oil. And these are some of the oils that fulfill both criteria, including the extra light olive oil, rice bran oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, and avocado oil. Well, to make your life easier, if you don't want to buy a different oil for a different occasion, you can straight away buy a high smoking point, which is versatile for all cooking methods. When it comes to spreads, if you're wondering, should I be using butter or should I be using margarine? Butter is actually predominantly saturated fats, whereas hard margarine is predominantly trans fat. So if you're wondering what kind of spreads should you use, do consider soft margarine made out of healthy unsaturated oils such as olive oil spread, avocado oil spread, or sunflower oil spread. You can also opt for 100% nut butter like almond butter or peanut butter, and these contain high amounts of unsaturated fats. Most importantly, when you look for this soft margarine, look for these labels, trans fat free and lower in saturated fat. And of course, when you replace fatty cuts of meats with lean cuts, fishes, soy products, beans, and legumes, you are also significantly cutting down fat intake in your food. This is an example. Chicken with skin and chicken without skin, you are actually cutting down the fat intake by half. Ingredient substitutions when it comes to fiber. Noodles, if you want to increase the dietary fiber intake in your food, noodles can be substituted with wholemeal pasta. White rice can be substituted with brown rice, red rice, purple rice, quinoa, or baked potatoes with skin. White bread can be substituted with wholemeal bread or wraps or chapati, which is made out of wholemeal flour. Biscuits and crackers can be substituted with whole wheat biscuits or crackers. Porridge can be substituted with oatmeal porridge, or if you don't want, you can mix half-half. And we do encourage you to include fresh fruits, vegetables, and legumes whenever possible in your cooking and baking. Okay, we now move on to some of the substitutions in baking. When it comes to substitution of salt for baking savory items like baked chicken, baked fish, the substitution is almost similar, which is to minimize, to reduce your usage of salt, but to utilize more of the herbs and spices, natural flavorings, and lemon juice. When it comes to, let's say, you're baking desserts like cakes and muffins, you can replace table sugars with stevia or monk fruit sweetener. You can replace sugar with ripe bananas or sweet potato. And when you replace sugar with dates and figs, you are actually also increasing your nutrient content from vitamins, minerals, and dietary fiber. Although raisins will also give your baked desserts a sweet taste, raisins can be a little bit concentrated with sugar, hence it is best that we use at a controlled amount. As for the icing and frosting, it can be replaced with yogurt or Greek yogurt. You can top it up with fresh fruits. And as for the chocolate syrup, it can be substituted with a melted dark chocolate, or you can sprinkle with cocoa powder. So these are the artificial sweeteners and natural sweeteners that we have discussed about just now. Just bear in mind that all of it can be used for baking except for aspartame. It is not suitable for baking because it degrades during heating. Okay, now we look at one example. For canned pineapple versus fresh pineapple, if you substitute canned pineapples with fresh pineapples, you are also significantly cutting down the amount of sugar in your baked goods. So canned fruits, you can substitute with fresh fruits or frozen fruits. And when it comes to preparing desserts, we don't always have to rely on sugar to flavor it, because there are so many other flavoring agents that we can use to flavor our desserts, which includes cinnamon powder, vanilla essence, matcha powder, coffee powder, cocoa powder, lemon, and also dark chocolate. When it comes to the usage of butter and oil in baking, you can replace it with a healthy unsaturated oil with high smoking point, or look for a trans fat-free, low in saturated fats margarine, or you can substitute oil with avocado or applesauce. As for the whipped creams and heavy cream, we can substitute it with low or non-fat yogurt, Greek yogurt, or evaporated skim milk. Another tip when you are baking goods, sometimes the recipe asks you to grease the pan or to spread oil over it. But one tip is that you can use the baking paper. In that way, you don't have to use so much fat and oil in your recipe. And also, it is also much easier to clean up. And when it comes to the choosing of oil, let's say if the recipe says that you are baking at 180 degrees Celsius, then it's best that you choose an oil which has a smoking point higher than 180. Let's just say that if the recipe says you have to bake at 220 degrees Celsius, then do choose an oil that its smoking point is above 220. Or if you want to make your life easier, you straight away choose an oil which can withstand 250 degrees Celsius and above. As for full cream milk, it can be, if your concern is managing weight or managing cholesterol, you can substitute full cream milk with low-fat milk or skim milk, or low sugar or unsweetened soy milk. Whereas if you're underweight or if you're trying to gain weight, then it's not really so important to take low-fat milk. You can just go ahead and take whole milk. White chocolate and milk chocolate tends to be much higher in sugar and fats, so you can opt for 100% pure cocoa powder or dark chocolates, about 80% cocoa or higher. And when it comes to the substitution to increase fiber intake, plain flour can be substituted with wholemeal flour or nut flour such as almond meal. And as for the toppings, we can utilize more fruits, nuts, and seeds. And we now come to some of the sample recipes where we can see how we replace some of the ingredients. First of all is peach and blueberry cake. You can substitute all-purpose or plain flour with whole wheat flour. Butter can be substituted with a healthy oil or unsweetened applesauce. Sugar can be substituted with mashed banana to give it a sweet taste. Heavy cream can be substituted with Greek yogurt. And as for the granulated sugar, you can just either you eliminate it or you substitute with stevia. As for bubo cha-cha, okay, this is actually one of the recipes that is taken from our Healthy La recipe book, which you can download for free from our official website. Here we substitute the sago into chia seeds. Because sago tends to be high in glycemic index, meaning to say it raises your blood sugar much faster, We substitute it to chia seed to increase the protein content, the fiber content, and also chia seed can help to control your blood sugar. The coconut milk here is high in saturated fat, so we substitute it to half to low-fat coconut milk and half to low-fat milk. We cut down the amount of sodium, and as for the 150 grams of sugar, we substitute it to stevia. Okay, another sample recipe here would be the macaroni and cheese. Macaroni can be substituted with wholemeal pasta. Butter can be substituted with olive oil. Bacon, we substitute it with chicken, mushroom, or tofu. Whole milk can be replaced by skim milk. We cut down the amount of salt and we increase the usage of herbs and spices like basil leaves and onion. You may also add some beans and broccoli to increase the nutrient content of the dish. Okay, we move on to sample recipe number 4, which is the chicken soup. Plain flour can be substituted with mashed beans. Pure cream can be substituted with low-fat milk or yogurt, or you can also blend cashew nuts to give it a very creamy texture, and cashew nuts is a source of healthy fats. We cut down the sodium and increase parsley and leek. We remove the skin from the chicken. And you may also consider to add mushrooms, carrots, and corn to increase the flavor and nutrition. Okay, another sample recipe, stir-fried chicken noodles. Normal noodles can be substituted with whole wheat noodle. Vegetable oil or palm oil, we replace it with any other healthier cooking oil, which is predominantly unsaturated fats. Honey here, we don't want to use honey, so we can just use carrots. It will also give a bit of sweet taste and also is much higher in vitamins and minerals. And you can add you're free to add any other spices according to your liking, and such as in this recipe, we are using the Chinese 5-spice powder. Okay. And with that, I've come to the end of the presentation, and thank you so much for your time and attention. I would like to invite the host back to the screen. Daphne, if you can proceed with the question and answer session, and to see if there are any questions from the floor.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie, for sharing. Okay, so we'll open up for the Q&A now. So if you have any questions, to put it in the comment section, and we'll try to answer all the questions there. Okay, I think the first question that we have is, what is your opinion about daikon? Is it a good food? Daikon is the white radish, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think daikon is just another vegetable option, and I don't see any contraindication as to why you cannot take daikon. So you can include daikon as part of your daily intake. But of course, when it comes to vegetables, we do encourage a variety. But just now we did highlight daikon, the use of daikon in soup, because it will give your soup a natural flavoring to it. And yeah, I don't see any contraindication, just consume in a variety, and it's one of the good natural flavoring when it comes to soups.
Okay, I hope that answers the question. We have a friend from Indonesia as well, so yes, I think you asked how to cook healthy in our daily cooking. So, and we also have one question: will these slides be on Facebook? So all this talk will be uploaded in video format in our Facebook, so you can refer to it at your own time, and the content that Stephanie shared just now will also be available. Okay, and the next question. I have 1 tablespoon of honey with lemon juice and water every day. Is it good or no good? So 1 tablespoon of honey with lemon juice and water every day. Is that an appropriate amount?
I really think it depends on your blood sugar goals. If you are combating diabetes, then I think it's very important that you be very careful with the total amount of sugar and honey that you take in the day. But otherwise, if you're not, you're just part of the general healthy population, I think 1 tablespoon of honey is absolutely fine. It's all right. And I think there is no risk, no contraindication for it.
Okay. Okay, next question. Is gelato better than ice cream in nutritional content? So if we like to
Oh,
eat ice cream.
I think it's a very there is no definite answer for this because there are so many different brands of ice cream and different brands of gelato. Some may be higher in sugar, some may be lower in sugar. So there is no hard and fast rule for this. But I think when you want to consume, whether is it ice cream or gelato or frozen yogurt, I think you will still need to read the nutrition label to see the amount of sugar, to see the amount of fat, because it really differs according to brand and product. Yeah. So just now we've discussed about the limit of sugar per day. So for a general guide, it for a normal healthy being, that would be around 40 grams of sugar per day. So what you can do is you see, okay, for this ice cream or gelato, how much is the amount of sugar, and you deduct it from your daily limit in order to control your total amount of daily sugar intake.
Okay. We have two questions about oil. So the first question is, what is the heating point for corn oil, and is it a healthy oil? And another question is, what about extra virgin olive oil? So these two oil, corn oil and extra virgin olive oil.
Okay, maybe I just show to you the list of the the healthy oil again. So actually extra virgin olive oil is just 160 degrees Celsius. Give me a minute to share. So if you're asking about the extra virgin olive oil, is about just 160 degrees Celsius. For corn oil, is about 232 degrees Celsius. This can be up to for medium heat cooking. Yeah, and what was the other oil that you were asking about?
Corn.
Corn oil and extra virgin olive oil. Both extra virgin olive oil and corn oil, they are both healthy, means they are both low in saturated fats, but extra virgin olive oil is for low heat cooking, just for drizzling on salad, drizzling on pasta. Corn oil can be for medium heat, meaning to say if you cook stew or you stir fry vegetables, you can still do it. But let's say if you're going for pan frying or frying, then you will need to opt for those cooking oil which can withstand a higher smoking point. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Okay. And next question. If we have wounds, so what kind of foods should we avoid?
Wounds. Okay, so actually, scientifically speaking, if you have a wound, and you want your wound to heal faster, you will need a very high protein diet, meaning to say from chicken, fish, eggs, tofu, because the protein stimulates the creation of new cells and new tissues and to build new skin, and it will help to repair your wound faster. If you're admitted in a hospital and you do a surgery, you have a wound, automatically the doctor will order for you a high protein diet. As for if you're asking about should you avoid prawns and eggs and all that, there are no scientific evidence, but it's more of a hearsay. It's more of a myth and misconception. It does not cause your wound to have more pus. What causes your wound to have more pus is if it is not clean, if there's bacteria infection is not handled cleanly, then it may cause pus, but it's not due to prawns or eggs. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's is very important to note as well. Okay, next question. For fresh fruits, there's sugar content. So how do we tell each fruit's sugar content? Because we can't tell. There's no label on fruits for the sugar content. So how do we? How is there a reference? Is there a guideline or something?
Okay, so if you want to look into the sugar content of a fruit, there is no food label. Usually, we can check for the nutrient composition. Even at the HPB website, you can check like, oh, for each fruit, what are the nutrient content? You can look up for it. But let's just say that, I don't want to look up for the technical, it's too technical for you. Then as a general rule of thumb, one serving of fruits give you 15 grams of sugar. Meaning to say, like, let's say if it's one apple, one medium orange, one medium pear, these in general give you close to 15 grams of fructose. Whereas when it comes to larger fruits like watermelon, papaya, and honeydew, one slice is about 15 grams of fructose. So, as a recommendation, you can take 2 servings of fruits per day. That will be around 30 grams of fructose per day.
Okay. Okay, next. Is there any law controlling the number of times the oil can be used for deep frying in F&Bs and hawkers in Singapore? So, like, is there any guideline on how many times oil can be used for the frying?
By right, ideally for health purposes, you're not supposed to reuse. You're not supposed to reuse the oil, but to be honest, I don't think like if you're eating out, sometimes they may reuse the oil um, and they are still I think they are still reusing it, and it's not really within our control. But I think Singapore is going to ban the use of trans fats. I think end of 2021. So a lot of the food eateries outside or the fast food restaurants, they are using those partially hydrogenated oils. Why they use it is because it's very cheap, it's very shelf stable, and you can fry it. You can use it many times, and it's still okay. But I think the government is also trying to put a ban on the usage of this oil that is high in trans fat, and we are looking forward to that when they finally ban it, the use of trans fat oil in our outside food. But of
That would
course,
be
if you're at home, then you can consciously avoid to reuse your oil. That would be much better.
yeah. Okay, and the next question. So, what about the methods of cooking? So, there are different methods of cooking. So, what method would be healthier, and how do we ensure that the method of cooking that we use is a healthy method?
So if you're talking about cooking methods, to put it very simply, there are low-fat cooking methods and high-fat cooking methods. Low-fat cooking methods include all those like steaming, blanching, boiling, baking, and also if you are using stir frying, you can use a non-stick pan and use very little oil. So these are considered as the low-fat cooking methods. Whereas high fat cooking methods is like you are pan frying or deep frying, those are higher fat cooking methods. So it depends on your weight goals. In general, for the general public, we do encourage baking, steaming, blanching. These are cooking methods which do not add additional fat into your food. Whereas if you are underweight, you are trying to gain weight, or if let's say you're having treatment and you keep losing weight, then don't need to go for the low fat cooking method. You can always go for stir frying or pan frying as long as you're choosing a healthy unsaturated oil with a high smoking point.
We are on the topic of cooking method now, right? So, is air fry good and safe, and is it also healthy? Air fryer, using air fryer.
Yeah, air frying is actually good and safe because it's more of like a closed oven. Actually, you can use the air fryer to fry and you don't need to add any additional oil. I would say that air frying is a much healthier method than deep frying.
Okay. Next question. Why is artificial sweetener safe to consume? So this participant also asked she wonders what is inside the artificial sweetener and why
So
is it
actually,
safe?
artificial sweeteners, they are not exactly artificial. They are extracted from some of the fruits, plants, or berries, and then just that they undergo further processing. Okay, so they are regarded as safe by FDA as a GRAS, generally regarded as safe, meaning to say that there is no evidence that it causes any adverse effect, it does not increase any risk of disease, therefore they have this labeling. But bear in mind that regardless of whether you consume natural sweeteners or artificial sweeteners, there are always a recommended intake on the label. Take for example, if you want to take stevia, there is also a label there saying that, oh, in one day you should not consume more than how much, because this is the safe amount known to be safe for the general population. Because when they come up with all these sweeteners, they also have to test it out, and so the safe limit is there. So for stevia, you can take like 4 milligrams per kilo per kilo body weight. So let's say if you're 50 kilo times 4, you can take up to 200 milligrams per day. Then at least you know that this is a safe amount that we already know that it's safe. Then of course, if you take excessively, we do not know what will happen, because there are not enough research to show what will happen if you take it excessively.
Okay. And next question. Air frying and baking are food cooked at high temperature and was told that it is not healthy. So what do you think about this?
So actually, it's true that baking and air frying is high temperature. However, I think your concern will be the acrylamide. Okay, the acrylamide will form, let's say, if your food is burnt or blackened. So that will emit some of the toxic fumes or the free radicals, and it is known to cause to a certain level some damage to your cells or DNA. In general, it is recommended that you can still do baking, you can still do air frying, but it is best that you cook it until it is golden brown, and to prevent any blackened or burnt parts that we know can be carcinogenic. So I think the take home message here is that to achieve it at a golden brown and to prevent any burn parts or it emitting any acrylamide.
Okay. And the next question we have, is a person okay if she totally abstain from sugar? So if we totally take out sugar from our diet, would that be a problem?
I don't think it will cause any problem if you totally eliminate sugar from your diet, and your body will still be able to produce sugar to fuel your cells when needed by breaking down carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. But yeah, no, there won't be any problem caused by it.
Okay. And what type of salt is good? So any recommendations for the type of salt?
And so just now we have seen that there are so many salts, but actually the sodium content is similar to table salt. If you don't have any kidney disease, you don't have any heart disease, I think you can opt for the 4 types of low sodium salt that we have shown just now. They are helpful to flavor your food, and at the same time, the sodium is reduced by half. So you can consider to try one of the low sodium salt in your daily cooking.
Okay. Next we have what is your advice on plant-based diet?
So actually, there are a lot of benefits to plant-based diet. In a way, when you switch from an animal-based diet to a plant-based diet, you are cutting down a lot of saturated fats, processed meats, and cholesterol. And you are also assuming that you also consume a lot of legumes, fruits, and vegetables. You are also consuming a lot of antioxidants, phytochemicals, vitamins, and minerals that are known to be protective against cancer. So there are a lot of benefits. However, if your question is there a need to avoid animal food in terms of fighting cancer? There is no need. Yeah. or if your question is, if I am a vegetarian, does it lower my cancer risk? We do not have any strong evidence to suggest so as well. Okay, so there are many benefits to it, but I wouldn't say that it's compulsory. I think it's really your personal preference. Regardless you want a normal diet or vegetarian diet, it is still important to consume a healthy, well-balanced diet that is nutrient dense and avoid processed meat. That is one of the few key points in terms of cancer protection.
Thank you. And just now we mentioned salt, so another question is Himalayan pink salt, is that a low sodium salt?
Unfortunately, Himalayan pink salt is not a low sodium salt. If you look at the label, it is still 40% sodium. It's similar to a normal table salt.
Okay. And I think we have one last question. She said that she boils her herbs and then some stick to the pot, although there's water. And is this cancerous? I think she meant like if you are boiling Chinese herbs and then the herbs stick to the pot that you use for cooking, would that cause cancer if you drink the
I think the bottom line is that whatever you cook, if we try not to have any vegetable or any of your food to be burnt. Yeah, if it's burnt, then we try to avoid that. Whereas if it's just stuck to the bottom of your pan, I think it's okay. As long as we try to avoid any burnt food in your burnt ingredient in your food in order to reduce your risk. Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. Do we have time for one last question? I think we have just one last question before we end. Okay. Manuka honey. Is Manuka honey good for healing, and are there other benefits to Manuka honey? And what would your advice be on it?
So actually, a lot of claims about Manuka honey, but there are actually not much scientific evidence to back it up, but it's more of a marketing claim. If you find that you want to take Manuka honey, if you find that you want to include in your daily diet, go ahead, but just control the amount that you are taking, because eventually it will all be broken down into sugar as well. Is it any more superior than sugar? The sugar amount will be the same, but it may have a little bit of extra nutrient or extra antioxidant there, but the amount is very, very little. And this amount is not significant compared to, like, you just increase your consumption of fruits and vegetable, then the nutrient is significantly higher. But if you compare sugar and Manuka honey, they do have just a little bit of added nutrients and a little bit of added antioxidants. So not significant, but if you want, go ahead, but just control the amount of your intake as it breaks down to sugar anyway.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie, for answering all the questions. And I think we still have some more questions, but I don't think we have the time to go through all of it. So thank you for your questions, and we hope that this session is informative for you. And also thank you, Stephanie, for sharing with us and patiently going through the questions. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Daphne.
And before we end, we'd just like to share some updates. So 365 CPS is on social media, Facebook and Instagram. So some of the tips that Stephanie shared is also on social media. So do follow us, and you can stay updated with the updates and information that we post. And we recently have launched our Telegram channel. So if it is more convenient platform for you, do subscribe to our channel via this link. So while we were talking about recipes previously, we have healthy recipes on our website. If you go to our website, they can be found under resources, ebook recipes. So they're all very simple and easy to follow, so you can try them out at home. And next we have a health talk in April. It will be conducted in Mandarin. The topic is on how to manage your emotions when fighting cancer, and the speaker will be Dr. Daniel Quack from Ng Ting Fong General Hospital. So this talk is on the 17th of April, so we hope to see you on that day. And we have come to the end of our Facebook Live talk. I hope it was a good and informative session for all of you. So thank you once again for joining us, and we hope to see you again next month. Have a good evening and have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.